च वायुः न वासः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। We are in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The basic problem represented by Arjuna is the problem of sadness. And Lord Krishna provides the fundamental solution to the problem of human sadness. The fundamental solution is the knowledge of the self. Can you raise the volume a little bit? Because sadness is a result of ignorance of the true nature of the self, taking myself to be quite different from what I am, taking non-self to be the self, taking the body, sense organs, mind, complex as a self, which is really not the self. Body is the object of my awareness, so are the sense organs, so is the mind. And what is the object of awareness? I, the awarer, has to be different from the object of awareness. And therefore, if you are objective, then it is not very difficult to realize, intellectually at least, that I, who is aware of the body and the sense organs and the mind, has to be different from them, just as I, who is aware of this flower, has to be different from the flower. And still, I am born with the habit of taking the body to be myself, sense organs to be myself, the mind, intellect to be myself. This is called the identification. I am born with a habit of identifying with the body-mind sense complex. Even though that is not my true self, I am born with this habit, the notion that I am the body, I am the mind. The body, mind, sense organs, all of these are naturally extremely limited. And therefore, identification with them and taking them with myself obviously creates this idea that I am a limited entity. The body is one among many, so I am one among many. This body is different from that body, therefore I am different from you. I am confined to this body-mind complex. I am limited. This sense of limitedness, sense of separatedness, sense of isolation from the rest, all of this makes me very unhappy with my own self. I am not happy with a self that is limited. I am not happy with a self that is one among countless. I am not happy with a self that is confined merely to this one body-mind sense complex. Finding myself being a limited individual and therefore very often helpless, I become unhappy with my own self. This unhappiness with the self is the cause of my unhappiness, is the cause of my sadness. You should remember Swamiji's what I may say, the aphorism. You are the problem, you are the solution. I am the problem, I am the solution. I myself become problem to me, understand? I, who looks upon himself as a limited being, this is my perception of myself. Not a reality about myself, but a perception of myself. That I am a limited being. This limited being that I am is the problem to myself. Because the perception of being limited just makes me unhappy with myself. Why is it so? Because in the heart of my heart, I wish to see myself as free from all limitation. That's my expectation of myself. I have an expectation of myself that I should be free from all limitations. I should be independent. I should be under control. This is what I expect of myself. Again and again I find I am not under control. I am not independent. I am not free. This perception or conclusion about myself makes me unhappy with my own self. This unhappiness with myself is the cause of dissatisfaction of myself, the cause of my unhappiness or sadness. So only way I can become free from sadness caused by a wrong perception of myself is to have the right perception of myself. The right perception is that I am limitless. न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः. As Lord Krishna says, I am birthless, Ajah. Nitya, I am deathless. Shashvatah, Purana, I am free from all changes. Birthless, changeless, deathless I am. Meaning that I am totally free from all limitations of time. Because it is time within which there is birth and death and growth and change, I am free from the limitation of time, and therefore from the limitation of place and every other limitation. If this is my perception of myself, there is no cause for grief at all. As Lord Krishna said, Ashochyan anvashochastvam. You are grieving for no reason at all. Even though Bhashyakara says, Ashochyan shochitam ayogyan, meaning that here Arjuna, Bhishma, Drona and other dear and near ones for whom you are grieving for the possibility of death of these near and dear ones as the cause of a grief. Really speaking, we should go a step further. It is not Bhishma and Drona that are the cause of the grief of Arjuna, really. Arjuna himself is the cause of his grief. Which also Bhashyakara explains. Arjuna feels that I'll become their killer. The sense of guilt. And what shall I do without them? A sense of isolation. So Arjuna himself is the cause of the grief for Arjuna, understand? Nobody grieves for others. We always grieve for ourselves. Arjuna, you do not deserve to grieve for yourself. Because you are not what you take yourself to be. You are unborn, you are birthless, deathless, changeless, limitless. If you knew yourself in that manner, there would be no scope or no question or occasion for you to grieve for yourself. Thus Lord Krishna presents in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita the knowledge of the self, meaning the Samyak Jnanam, the true, the proper knowledge. We do have knowledge of ourselves, that we are limited. That is the Viparita Jnanam, that is the contrary knowledge. The true knowledge of myself, that I am free from all limitations. That perception of myself will release me from all the unhappiness born of seeing myself as a limited being. Tasmat evam viditvenam nam shochitam arhasi. Now, Arjuna, doing the self in this manner, avyaktoyam chintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmat evam viditvenam nam shochitam arhasi. Knowing yourself in this manner, there is no scope for you to grieve. So, Paramathik Drishti, Lord Krishna provides the solution to the fundamental problem. I was only to point out that there are two kinds of problems. One is the fundamental problem, other is the topical problem or situational problem. Arjuna represents both these kinds of problems. The fundamental problem as well as the situational or topical problem. Karpanya doshopa hata svabhavaha. Arjuna accepts that I am ignorant. Pruchhamit dharma sammudha chetaha. And therefore I am totally confused or bewildered with reference to dharma, what is the right thing to do. That I am ignorant of myself, which is a cause for creating this confusion about what is my duty. Meaning that our situational problems, topical problems, all arise from the fundamental problem of the ignorance of myself. So, ultimate solution to all the problems in life. A situation is converted into a problem because of my ignorance. Otherwise, a situation remains a situation. So Lord Krishna first provides the fundamental solution. And that's the main subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. Self-knowledge. Then there is also a secondary subject matter of the Gita, which is called the Karma Yoga or the Yoga. Lord Krishna will state this division in the third chapter. Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. For the Sankhyas, for the contemplative ones, for those who enjoy viveka and vairagya, dispassion in the mind, For those contemplative ones, Jnana Yoga, the pursuit of knowledge. But for those who are not yet there, who don't have that kind of vairagya or dispassion, whose mind is still afflicted by raga and dvesha, attachments and aversions, and therefore those who do not enjoy a purity and focus of the mind, because contemplation of the self Tushyate tu agrya buddhya sukshmaya sukshmadarshibhi. It requires sukshmata, subtleness of the mind, agrata, focus of the mind. Those who enjoy an abiding mind, a mind enjoying concentration or focus, for them the pursuit of knowledge is quite appropriate. Those who are mumukshus, meaning those who are desirous of moksha, but do not have yet the right frame of mind to pursue the knowledge, for them the means of acquiring a mind of that nature. We need to acquire a mind that enjoys sukshmata, purity, and ekagrata, single-pointedness, focus. For that, Lord Krishna teaches what we call karma yoga. In the second chapter, from the verse 11 to the verse 30, Lord Krishna spoke of the self-knowledge, the primary subject matter of the Gita. And then also address the topical problem of Arjuna. Swadharmam abhichavekshya. Just to refresh your memory, if you look at the handout that you have, on the page 21, the 30th verse, Lord Krishna concluded his first discourse. Dehi nityam avadhyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitam arhasi. He Bharata, he Arjuna, Dehi nityam avadhyoyam. I am this Atma, Dehi, the indweller of the bodies of all beings, is avadhya, indestructible. The self is indestructible. Therefore, it doesn't get affected by the situation of the body. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The body is injured, the self does not get injured. Even the body is killed, the self does not get killed, because it's like this, that we have this pot here. And there is something that dwells within the pot. What is that? The space. The space is the indweller of the pot. You see that? Space is within the pot. So space which is within the pot, indweller of the pot, does not get injured when the part is injured, does not get broken when the part is broken, does not get destroyed when the part is destroyed. Isn't it? Even though the space is within the part, still the condition of the part does not in any way affect the space. Isn't that right? Isn't the space within the part? Why do I feel the volume is very low? Maybe that's my problem, I don't know, but somehow I don't seem to get the feedback, from. I'm sure they can hear me well. I cannot hear myself well, that's my problem. Because you need feedback and I don't seem to get it. This is a very nice example of space within the part. The kind of relationship, that's the right thing. Okay. You're going to turn it to myself, towards me or away from me? The relationship that the space has with the part, is the kind of relationship that the self has with the body. Even though we say that the space is within the part, isn't it? That is said only from the standpoint of the part, which enclosure. The part which is an enclosure creates in us the notion that the space is within the part. Now the space is really within the part or confined by the boundaries of the part. Space transcends the part. Space pervades the part and transcends the part. So even though we say that there is space within the part, that's not really true. Space is within, without, everywhere in the part. In fact, it's the part which is within the space and not the other way around. Similarly said that the body is, the self is within the body. Consciousness is within the body. In the same similar way. Consciousness is not confined to within or without. It's all pervasive. It's the body that is within the consciousness. And so somehow a notion is created in our mind. Just as there is a notion that the space is within the part, so also there is notion that the consciousness self is within the body. So I know what I have done. Whenever I want to point out I point out something within the body. So Lord Krishna first explained, Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. The self is not injured when the body is injured. The self is not killed when the body is killed, because the self has no relationship whatever with the body, just as space has no relationship at all with the part. It's in our own mind that we think that the space is within the part, and similarly it is within our own mind that we think that the self is within the body. In fact, self is independent principle. And therefore, verse 38, Lord Krishna said, Tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. The indwell of the body, the self is avadhya, indestructible. And they were saying so many words, Nainam Channandi Shastrani, etc. The weapons do not cleave it. The fire cannot burn it. The water cannot wet it. The air cannot dry it, and so forth. So conclusion is, Tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitam arhasi. Therefore, you ought not to grieve for all these people. I should add one thing. Therefore, you should not grieve for yourself. Outwardly, it looks like Arjuna is grieving for all these people, my near and dear ones. Swajanami kathamatva sukhinas madhava. Hey Madhava, how can we be happy killing our near and dear ones? Again, unhappiness has its locus in the self. Happiness is its locus in the self. Unhappiness also has its locus in the self, not in a non-self. So momentarily Lord Krishna took a break from this teaching of the nature of the self and came down to the topical situation of Arjuna. And from the verse 31 said, Swadharmam api chaveksha navikampitum arhasi. Here Arjuna, when it comes to the self, inasmuch as the self of the Atma is indestructible, it does not deserve to be grieved for. The next question is, what is dharma? What's the right thing for me to do? Na chaitad vidmah kataranno gariyaha. Lord, we do not know which one is better. Should we fight or not fight? Why did this question arise in mind of Arjuna? Because in the state of mind that Arjuna is, his mind interprets fighting as killing. And killing means violence. So, Lord, I do not know whether we should fight this battle because it involves violence, it is adharma. Non-violence is dharma. Naimchat sarva bhutani, you should not kill or hurt any living being, and here it involves killing of so many beings. This is violence, and therefore is adharma. It violates the basic tenet of dharma. So, at the same time he knows that I am a Kshatriya and it is my duty to fight this battle. Because I am here to protect dharma from the Duryodhana and others who stand for adharma. So on one hand he understands that as a Kshatriya it is his duty to fight this battle. At the same time his interpretation of dharma being what it is Arjuna's interpretation of dharma in the situation, where he interprets this fighting the battle as an act of violence. There is adharma. Therefore, na chaitad vidmah kataranno gariyaha. We do not know which one is better, whether to fight this battle and therefore carry out the himsa or violence, or should not fight the battle and therefore sacrifice my duty as a Kshatriya. So this is his problem. This is what we call the topical problem. Situational problem. Again arising from the fundamental problem of the ignorance of the true nature of the self. So with reference to that, Lord Krishna says here, Swadharmam api chavekshya. From the standpoint of your dharma or the duty, Na vikampitum arhasi. Hey Arjuna, you should not waver. Should I fight the battle? It is violence. Should I not fight the battle? Then it is running away from my duty. Says no, fighting this battle is a duty. Swadharmam, your own dharma, your own duty as a kshatriya is, this is not really fighting the battle as much as protecting dharma. A kshatriya does not come to the battlefield to kill people. Ideally, a kshatriya comes to the battlefield to protect dharma, righteousness, to protect his people. The role of kshatriya is to protect. Like our arms also, the role is to protect the body. You can use arms to hurt others also. And that way, kshatriya also can use his weapons to hurt others. But that is not the role, ideally. Ideally, the role of kshatriya is to protect. Here, Arjuna, here you have to protect dharma. Swadharmam, as a dharma or the right thing to do for a kshatriya also, you should not waver. There should not be a conflict in your mind whether you should fight the battle or not. Why? Lord Krishna says, Dharmyad yuddhat shayonyata kshatriyasya na vidyate. For a kshatriya, there is nothing better than the opportunity to fight dharma yuddha. This is called dharma yuddha. Yuddha, the battle which is meant for protecting dharma, is called dharma yuddha. A battle that is fought on the principles of dharma and a battle that is fought for protecting dharma is dharma yuddha. So therefore, Arjuna, for a kshatriya, there is nothing better than a dharma yuddha. And Lord Krishna makes Arjuna see how fortunate you are. Yadurchaya chopapannam svargadvaram apavratam. I'm just reading the verses from them. This is an opportunity created for you by Ishvara. So you have not asked for this situation. The situation has been given to you. Yadruchya chopannam. It is the by chance or yadruchya means by Ishvara, grace of Ishvara. It is by a great fortune that you find yourself in a situation that you have to fight a dharma yuddha. Svargadvaram apavratam. In case you lose this battle, fighting the righteous battle, then you straight away go to heaven. For which other people who perform penance for a number of years, you just straight go to heaven. Sukhina kshatriyah partha labanta yuddhamidrusham. Hey Partha, hey Arjuna, those kshatriyas who are fortunate to have an opportunity like this are really fortunate. All right, I don't care if I am fortunate. Suppose I don't want to fight still. So Lord Krishna says there is all to gain by fighting the battle. There is all to lose by not fighting the battle. Ata chetam dharmyam sangaramam na karishyase. If you refuse to engage in this dharma yuddha, then you forfeit your own duty and honor. Swadharmam kirtim cha, and you will incur the sin. So the negative consequences. Positive thing is you are fortunate that this is an opening to heaven. If you fail to do this, you will incur sin, you will lose your honor and duty. And so on and so forth. So not only that, but then akirtim cha vibhutani. you will gain dishonor. People will think that you have run away from this battlefield out of fear. And they will say all kinds of things about you. So thus Lord Krishna told him, this is a battle, this is your dharma yuddha. But what if I get killed? Lord, what if I get killed? No problem. Hato va prapsasi swargyam. If you are killed in this battle, you go to heaven straight. Jitva va bhokshase mahim. And if you win the battle, you become the king of the whole earth. Both ways. Best of both. And therefore, have no conflict in your mind. Arjuna, become free from conflict whether I should fight this battle or not. Yuddhaya krita nischaya. Being determined to fight this battle, therefore arise and do your duty. And while you do your duty, verse 38 is an important verse where Lord Krishna says, Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayau. Here Arjuna, when you perform your duty, focus your attention totally on what you have to do. While performing an action, very practical advice. While performing an action, while performing a duty, may your concern be totally to what you have to do and not the consequences of your action. Be ready to gracefully accept whatever consequences are. Do the right thing without the consideration of personal gain or loss. This is basic teaching of Karma Yoga, which in the verse 38 Lord Krishna says in an aphoristic form, in one verse, that while you are engaged in performing your duty, may your total attention be in doing what you need to do. It is important that you do what is the right thing to do. Having now engaged in doing what is the right thing to do, let the personal consequences be of no consideration to you. Whether you personally stand to gain out of this, or you personally stand to lose out of this, let there be no consideration at all. Personal gain and loss should be no consideration. What is consideration? Do what is right. This is a very big thing. What is Karma Yoga? Doing what is right, without the consideration of what will be the personal consequences. As the Swami used to say, in every situation there are two choices: doing what I like and doing what is right. Two things are there. Doing what I like means what? Means that the personal consequences are important. What I like is that I should stand to gain as a result of this action. That's what everybody likes. So doing what I like means giving greater importance to the personal consequences of the endeavor, and doing what is right is the second choice. Is regardless of what the personal consequences are doing what is right. Meaning that a willingness to sacrifice personal consequences. So Karma Yoga involves sacrifice. Sacrifice of personal gain and loss. Be willing to welcome. Be willing to gracefully accept whatever consequences are there. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo. Sukha, pleasure, dukkha, pain. Same kritva. We look upon pleasure and pain as equal. Can they be equal? Pleasure is pleasure and pain is pain. How can they be equal? Labha, labho. Labha means gain, alabha means loss. Here, Arjuna, may you look upon gain and loss as equal. Jaya, jayo. Jaya, victory. Ajaya means defeat. Looking upon victory and defeat as equal. Looking upon gain and loss as equal. Looking upon pleasure and pain as equal. Can gain, victory and defeat, how can they be equal? Are they not totally opposed to, they are diametrically opposite, isn't it? What is victory is not defeat, and what is defeat is not victory. That is called mutually exclusive. Jaya and Ajaya, victory and defeat, they are mutually exclusive, meaning that victory is not defeat and defeat is not victory. If there is some similarity, then we can look upon them as equal. There is no similarity at all. Diametrically opposite. How can you look upon them as equal? What it means is that being prepared for either consequence. I am committed to do what is right, whether this action brings victory or whether it brings defeat is of no consideration to me. What is of consideration is that I am committed to do what is right. So don't think that doing right is that easy, Doing right is generally very tough. Because there is always a temptation of steering and manipulating our action such that it yields a desired outcome. Usually, outcome is very important to us because outcome is a personal gain. It's very important to me. It gives me sense gratification, emotional gratification, ego gratification. Success is ego gratification. Failure is personal shame. Are they equal? When success comes, I really congratulate myself. I am something. I am all right. If I fail, I feel miserable because I am no good. How can they be equal? Can they be equal? Success and failure, can they be equal? Is it not that success gives me ego gratification? And failure creates in me a sense of failure, being no good. One creates in me a self-pride, other one creates in me a self-frustration. How can they be equal? Isn't that so? So can success and failure be equal? Now it's my question to you. Attitude. Yes, go ahead. What's the attitude? Sameness. Both are same. But I say, how are they same? When they are diametrically opposite to each other, how can I look upon them as same? That's what Lord Krishna says, Same Krutva, looking upon them as same. Yes, sir.
We don't have total control of that outcome, neither of them. We can take the action, but not have total control of the same in that matter.
Yes, so the answer is that we don't have any control over the outcome. And they were accepting the outcome gracefully. That's the attitude. That is true. For the higher purpose of doing what is right. Higher purpose of doing what is right. That also is a good point.
It is to be done and that's why you do it. So there is no success or failure.
It is to be done, therefore you do it. There is no success and no failure. But well, when you fight a battle, you win the battle, lose the battle. So, it's inevitable that one of the results will come. What all you said is all correct. And we'll talk about it, of course, that's going to subject matter. That since I have no control of the outcome, I may as well accept it. Attitude, graceful acceptance is attitude. But I accept one more step here. Graceful attitude is also fine of accepting it as prasada of Ishvara. But what creates the ego gratification? When success comes, I feel something, I feel great, I feel all right, my ego is satisfied. When failure comes, my ego is hurt. See, that happens when I judge myself based on the outcome. There is something called success, we cannot deny, it's a reality of life. That you fight the battle and there is victory, that's called success. You fight the battle, there is defeat, that's called loss or failure. So success and failure are the realities of life, we can't deny them. So whenever we perform an action, one of the consequences will be there, either success or failure. You have no choice there, you're right. But you know what we do? Habitually, from that outcome of success and failure, I go a step further. You know what I do? I say that I am successful or I am failure. There is ego gratification not because of success. There is ego gratification because I am successful. There is a sense of loss or failure not because of defeat, because I am a failure. See, this is a very important step here. Lord Krishna says, give up the attachment to the outcome. It can very well be interpreted as, do not judge yourself based on the outcome. As we said, the happiness and unhappiness both are centered upon the self. Simply victory of a battle doesn't cause me happiness or unhappiness. An event does not cause happiness or unhappiness. So only when I connect myself to the event that the happiness or unhappiness comes. Understand that. There is an event called victory. There is an event called failure. In themselves, those events need not cause any reaction in me. It is when I identify with those events, I judge myself based on the event. What is the judgment? I am successful. I am failure. That is where the freedom is. I do not have the freedom to determine the outcome of an action, but I certainly have the freedom of not judging myself based on the action. An action is performed, action is successful, action is failure. All right? We'll accept that as the reality of life. Even if you personally do not brand it as success or failure, the world will brand it anyway. The world will brand your action as success or failure and judge you accordingly. Whether you get promotion, no promotion, doesn't depend upon your attitude, depends on what the world decides about you. Although that's not the consideration here. But then, most importantly, as I said, is both pleasure and pain, both of them are centered upon the self. When I judge myself successful, then I am pleased with myself. When I judge myself as a failure, then I am displeased with myself. The pleased with myself and displeased with myself are a result not of the outcome, not of success or failure, but on account of my connecting myself with them in terms of identifying with them, in terms of judging myself based on them. So we already told you about the Karma Yoga verse anyway. But this verse has the very seed of the entire Karma Yoga, therefore. This verse has the seed of the Karma Yoga. When Lord Krishna says, may you look upon pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat as equal, there is no way that you can do that unless you refrain from judging yourself based on the outcome. Outcome is victory and defeat. Outcome is gain and loss. But pleasure and pain is not the outcome, is a reaction. Even though both are that's in the same, but actually it's not so. Pleasure and pain are not outcome. Pleasure and pain are the reactions to the outcome. Understand that. And that reaction of pleasure comes when I judge. Pleasure or pain come as a reaction when I judge myself based on the outcome. So Sukha Dukkha, they keep saying that, but that's not so. I shouldn't really say that, but this is what it is. Pleasure is a reaction. Happiness is a reaction, unhappiness also is a reaction. Is it not so? Because a given event, whether it makes me happy or unhappy, depends on how I view the event. Not even how I view the event, how I view myself with reference to that event. How I judge myself with reference to the event. That's what creates in me reaction of happiness or unhappiness. So happiness, unhappiness are both reactions. And that is why the freedom. I have freedom to act. I don't have freedom to judge, determine the result. I have the freedom to act. And therefore I have the freedom not to judge myself based on the outcome. If I don't judge myself as successful or failure, there is no reaction of pleasure and pain. That's when the equanimity of the mind remains. This I am elaborating because it's a very important point, just to remind you again. An important lesson to be learned from the whole discussion of Karma Yoga. Which is not found clearly in the text or commentary also. It is contained in there, of course, for us to see, but you don't find this in explanations or commentaries. Ishvara buddhi, prasad buddhi is all fine, that is correct. But one more important step is not to judge myself based on the outcome. I have freedom. Even if the outcome is success and failure, let it be. Let success and failure be attached to outcome. I don't have to attach it to myself by identifying with them. That's the important thing. Tato yuddha yujyastva. Now, first of all, have this disposition of mind, this attitude, or this decision on your part that my role is to perform the actions and that is my responsibility. Outcome is not my responsibility. So then from this verse onwards, so from the verse number 31, Lord Krishna talked about the topical situation, the duty of Arjuna, what Arjuna should do. So first is what Arjuna is. Second is what Arjuna should do. The most important thing of life is to know what we are, and for that what we do becomes a means. As Gita explains, what we do becomes a means of knowing what we are. Therefore, first Lord Krishna says to Arjuna who Arjuna is, and then Lord Krishna says what Arjuna should do in order to know who he is. Now, when can I know anything? The knowledge of any object can take place provided I am objective. In our words of Puja Swamiji, when my mind is objective. Like when a botanist may take a flower in his hand to study what it is. He is objective with reference to the flower, with reference to the specimen. Meaning there is no axe to grind. He has no agenda for this flower. He has no agenda as to what the outcome of the investigation should be. He is open-minded as far as the outcome of the investigation is concerned. The open-mindedness. Freedom from agenda is called objectivity. Typically, a scientist is objective with reference to his specimen of observation. There is no agenda for this as to what it should be and what it should not be. He may have a hypothesis and he may work towards that, but that hypothesis is not the conclusion. Similarly, for self-knowledge also, now self or Atma becomes the object of my investigation, understand? For the knowledge. For knowing anything, what we need to do is to investigate what it is. So deliberate upon what it is. So we should investigate what Atma is, deliberate on what Atma is, what I am. And for that I should be objective with reference to myself. Understand that. The reason for Karma Yoga is this, is to help us gain a state of mind, a frame of mind, when we are objective towards our own self, which we are not. I may be objective, even a scientist may objective, a judge also objective, but not objective with reference to oneself. We are usually not objective with reference to our own self. Because we do not accept ourselves as we are. And we have an agenda for ourselves as to what I should be. As long as that is the frame of mind, that is not an objective frame of mind, and therefore not an appropriate frame of mind to pursue and inquire into the self. Therefore, we should first acquire an objective frame of mind. What Vedanta calls Antahaka Shuddhi, purification of mind. What it is a mind which is objective with reference to myself. It is relatively easy to be objective with therefore, to be objective with reference to world. That's called Vairagya. That enables me to be objective with reference to myself. So we will continue, but you see why Karma Yoga comes in. To help us gain a certain disposition of mind, which is what we need to know ourselves. Therefore, first is what Arjuna is, and for knowledge of what Arjuna is, second is what Arjuna should do. First is what Arjuna is, the knowledge. Second is what Arjuna should do, karma with reference, with a certain attitude, karma yoga. Take a break and we'll continue this discussion. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thus in the verse 38, Lord Krishna, from 31 to 38, Lord Krishna gave a brief overview of the karma or karma yoga, the attitude that Arjuna should have towards what he is required to do. Thus, Lord Krishna has said both the things, provided what we call the solution to the fundamental problem, which is the self-knowledge, and also the attitude towards karma for preparing the mind to acquire what we call an objective mind, or what is traditionally called Antahaka Shuddhi, purification of mind. We'll see how mind is not objective when there are impurities of likes and dislikes. So how to acquire a mind with right attitudes so that we progressively become free from this likes and dislikes. So Lord Krishna in verse 39 says, Esha te bhita sankhye buddhi yoge tvimam shram. Esha te sankhye buddhi abhita. Verse 39. This wisdom with reference to self-knowledge has so far been told to you. In fact, both the knowledge has been essentially given by Lord Krishna. Primarily, Lord Krishna spoke about the self-knowledge. And in the last 8 verses also talked about duty or karma. But Lord Krishna means that, hey Arjuna, what primarily I have told you is self-knowledge. It's called Sankhya. Lord Krishna used the word Sankhya for self-knowledge. Eshate abhihita Sankhya buddhi. Buddhi, the wisdom. Sankhya with reference to self-knowledge. So just to draw your attention to the use of the word Sankhya on the part of Lord Krishna, where the word Sankhya is commonly used for a school of thought called Sankhya. And they have their own vision of the nature of self. But that Sankhya is not intended here. There are the 6 schools of philosophy: Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. So, commonly and normally, Sankhya means one of these schools of thoughts. Where the Sankhyas say that there are as many Atma, the self, as many living beings are there. They believe in the multiplicity of Atma, Sankhyas. Now that is not the intention either when the word Sankhya. So word Sankhya in the common parlance means the school of thought called Sankhya. But derivatively, Sankhya means number, of course, Sankhya means number. These Sankhyas number everything, count everything, that's what they call Sankhyas. But Sankhya, sam plus kya. Kya means to know also, samyak khyayate. Anayayati Sankhya, that by which the self is very well known is called Sankhya. Upanishad. And Sankyam, that which is revealed by Upanishad, was Sankhya, the self. So in that sense, the word Sankhya is used in the sense of self-knowledge. The second chapter also is called Sankhya Yoga, where Sankhya also means self-knowledge is the topic of the second chapter. It's interesting that in this chapter both the self-knowledge as well as karma yoga, both are discussed. But still, self-knowledge is the primary topic here. There will be a third chapter where the karma will be the primary topic. But here, even though karma or karma yoga is discussed, it still enjoys only a secondary place. The primary place is that of Sankhya or self-knowledge. Here Arjuna, from the verse 11 to verse 30, I have told you the vision of the knowledge of the self, as we just discussed in the previous class, how the self is free from the birth and death and all changes and all limitations. The self is limitless and ever free, and knowing that self, one becomes free. So, if you know this, that's all you need to do, in which case Arjuna would not have, there would be no need to teach any further to Arjuna if Arjuna grasped and understood and assimilated what was said in those 20 verses. But Lord Krishna sees that that has not quite happened. Even though, in spite of teaching the true nature of self, the self-knowledge has not happened. Why does it not happen? When they say you are limitless, what is our problem? How come we are not able to see ourselves limitless? It should be nice. In fact, we are so eager to be limitless. The only thing that we are seeking in life is to become free from all limitations. To be limitless is what we are eagerly seeking to achieve. And when we are told you are limitless, I seem to have a lot of problem with that. I want to be limitless, and when you are limitless, that does not go with my perception of myself. My perception of myself, I am a limited being. This is my perception of myself, as I said earlier. Because of identification with the body-mind-sense complex, which is limited, I perceive myself as a very limited being. And then I am trying to become limitless. This has been the trend in my life, the process in my life. Vedanta says that you are already limitless. You don't have to become limitless, you already are limitless. You are grieving because you think that you are limited. There is no reason for you to grieve because you are limitless. You are not what you take yourself to be. So when we are told we are free and limitless, should you not celebrate it right away? Should not jump with joy, oh, I am limitless. How wonderful. But that doesn't happen. That has to be seen, understand. There is an intellectual understanding that I am limitless, that makes sense to me, but then I have to see it. At the emotional level, put it this way. That emotionally I still remain a limited being. On account of the habit of identifying with my body, mind, sense complex is limited, habitually I still remain a limited being, even though I understand Swamiji. I understand what is right to do, but I understand that everything is in order, but so I understand means what? I understand in my intellect, logically, reasonably, that yes, it is true. That there is an order in life, that yes, it makes sense that I should be limitless. But habitually, because of the identification with the body, mind, etc., that habit does not go, and therefore my perception of myself, limited being, doesn't go. And there's something else to be done with my mind. It should become receptive to this teaching. Right now my mind is not quite receptive to the teaching, meaning that even when I am told I am limitless, it doesn't see that fact. I don't see myself as limited, limitless. Therefore, this change or transformation is required in the mind. That process is called yoga. So yoga is to bring about a change or transformation in my emotional makeup. Your problems at two levels. One is problem of the intellectual level, which is the wrong understanding. And secondly, problem of the habitual level. You can call it emotional level, habitual level. But habitually I believe and see certain things. And that is where also a transformation has to happen. What does Swami call emotional maturity? That I should emotionally become mature to own up this fact that for me to own up this fact that I am limitless, I am free, it requires me to be emotionally mature also. And that process of making me an emotionally mature person is called yoga. And that is very much required. The yoga, meaning transformation in my mind, is very much required for me to own up this knowledge, to benefit from this teaching. That is, I understand I am limitless, but I don't benefit from that because that understanding doesn't come to bless me. For me to benefit from that understanding, it requires a mind that enjoys that emotional maturity. And Lord Krishna says here that also is required. That's called yoga. Isha te bhita sankhya buddhi. Here Arjuna, buddhi, the wisdom, with reference to Sankhya or the self, is already given to you. Buddhi yoge tvamam shruno. But buddhi goes both ways. Sankhya buddhi, yoga buddhi. Sankhya buddhi, abhita means told. Te to you. To you, the wisdom with reference to Sankhya or the self has been told. Shunu, now listen carefully to yoga buddhi, the wisdom with reference to yoga, the process of self-transformation. Transforming my emotional makeup, my habitual makeup. That habitually I take myself to a limited being. That habit has to change when my mind becomes also conducive to see myself as limitless that I am. You follow this? We have to bring about the change in our mind. That mind is now favorable to me to appreciate this vision of the scriptures that I am limitless. All right, Lord Krishna, you will now tell me about yoga or karma yoga. So what's the benefit of that knowledge? I know the benefit of the knowledge of self is I become free from grief or shoka. But now you are proceeding to tell me about the knowledge of yoga. What's the benefit? So first, mind wants to know benefit. Before we are willing to do anything, even before we are willing to listen to a class, and it is natural for the human mind always to look for what is in it for me. What do I stand to gain? Come to the class, come to the Saylorsburg. Why should I come? Naturally, the first question is, what's the benefit? So when Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that now I will proceed to tell you about the wisdom of yoga, naturally the Arjuna's mind asks this question, what is in it for me? So before proceeding to say what yoga is, Lord Krishna says, what is the benefit of knowing about yoga? Buddhya, second line says, Buddhya yukto yaya partha. I think we'll have to raise the volume a little bit. May it come. I'm sure it is very loud, but to my ears. Buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. He Partha, he Arjuna, yaya buddhya yukta, endowed with which wisdom? Endowed with which? That yoga. Endowed with yoga. Endowed with this process of self-transformation, that when you become a yogi, when you enjoy a mature mind, when you enjoy a mind that enjoys the purity and concentration, Antaraga Shuddhi and Nishalyam, when you enjoy that. In fact, Shankaracharya ji says yoga is in two stages. Karma yoga and Samadhi yoga, he says, In the Bhashya, Karma yoga and Samadhi yoga. We can say Karma yoga is the process of purification of mind, Samadhi yoga is the process of the concentration, focus of the mind. So we require purification, meaning freedom from these ragadveshas. We also require a mind that enjoys focus or concentration. For that, 6th chapter of the Yoga of Meditation we told. So now I am going to talk about the Yoga of Karma and the Yoga of Meditation. When you will do that, Karmannam prahasyasi, you will be able to prahasyasi, get rid of or give up the bondage of karma. You will become free from bondage of karma. This is the prastavana, proposition. This style here is that you propose what it is that you're going to talk. For example, before you give a talk or lecture, you always tell a topic. What is the topic? What is subject matter? So Lord Krishna clarifies what the subject matter is now for what he's going to now say. It should become clear to Arjuna that what he has been listening to so far had one subject matter, and now the subject changes. If that does not become clear to us, that we may get confused. Because we might, in our own mind, continue to look for the same subject. And if the speaker changes subject matter, then we get confused. So here Lord Krishna himself says that now the discussion changes. And now we're going to talk about a different subject matter. It's called yoga. Knowing which you will become free from all bondage of action. And Lord Krishna continues to praise this yoga. Understand, yoga is a yoga of attitude. This is also a very brilliant explanation given by Pujya Swamiji. That karma yoga is a yoga of attitude. Karma yoga is not about karma as much as about the attitude towards karma. It is so simple, really, that all we need to do in our life is simply change the attitude. That's all. Again, to simplify the whole process in our Swamiji's words, simply change the attitude from being consumer to be a contributor. That's all. Simple words. So number one, karma yoga is a yoga of attitude. And number two, what is the change of attitude that karma yoga calls for is transforming the attitude from being consumer to be a contributor. That's all that is to be done. From consumer, you become a contributor. From a receiver, become a giver. From beggar, become a giver. So, this is not talking about karma, understand. Lord Krishna is now going to talk about yoga or attitude is going to talk about. And Lord Krishna says in the next verse, Neha bhikramanashosti pratyavayo na vidyate. Here with reference to the karma yoga, the attitude of yoga. Abhikramanasha nasti pratyavayo na vidyate. Abhikra means what you begin with. Suppose you undertake some kind of business and start with a certain investment of X number of dollars to invest in your enterprise. That's called Abhikrama. You begin with something. Abhikrama Nasha is possible that in the business you lose what you all started with is possible. The common example is that of agriculture. The farmer puts in so much effort to cultivate the land and sow the seeds and everything he does. And just the rains do not come at the right time. I was in Argentina. I said, Swamiji, this summer there was a drought, no rain. So the whole crop of soybean was lost. They worked very hard to do what is required, but then everything was lost. It's called avikrama nashaha. In karma, it is always possible that you may lose whatever it is that you started with. There may be great loss in karma. Pratyavayo na vidyate, or there can be even worse result. Then that's called pratyavaya. That you may wind up with a damage. Not only you lose your money, etc., that you invested, but then you may be stuck with all kinds of legal issues, and then you may have to go to court and you have to go to prison. That also can happen, pratyavaya. Meaning that no opposite result is called. You expect a profit and you get loss. Or example that is given is that of a medicine. You take medicine, to cure a certain disease, and then you stuck up with so many more diseases than what you had. Some kind of side effect. Side effects are sometimes much more than the main effect anyway. So that is possible. So it's not only in the modern medicine, even in the commentary also the example is given of treatment of disease. Meaning in those days, even when they were giving Ayurvedic treatment also, things must be happening. That instead of that medicines of curing disease, it may give you some more disease also. Possible. It's called pratyavaya. These are the possibilities in performance of any action. Of course, you undertake an endeavor, you may be successful also, but it's quite possible that you may lose all your investment in the endeavor, or you may wind up with some kind of a debt and all kinds of problems also, the negative effect. It's not possible. Here, Arjuna, when it comes to karma yoga, none of this will happen to you. You will not lose what you started with. There will be no negative effect at all. So what is Lord Krishna saying? You perform the karma with yoga attitude, you will never incur a loss. There will not be an opposite effect. No, you can't say that. But what is loss and what is the opposite effect? It's all a matter of attitude. It is attitude that decides what is gain and what is loss. When you perform an action, you have a certain outcome in mind. If you get that outcome, more than the outcome, you call it gain. If you get less or opposite, you call it loss. Isn't it? Gain and loss. Now that is your attitude of perception. Now depends on what is gain and what is it that you want to get out of this action. If you are judging your action, the outcome of the action based on the physical outcome, then there can be gain or loss. But suppose through the action you want some spiritual gain. What Lord Krishna is now proceeding to say to Arjuna is that not only there is a physical dimension of karma phala or the result of an action, there is also a spiritual dimension which nobody knows, which people do not know about, which they do not take into account. Whenever we talk of karma and karma phala, action and result of action, we always take into account the physical dimension. How much physical gain, quantifiable loss, that is all the consideration when we perform an action. So this is a basic change of attitude. Here in karma yoga, you are performing action not for any physical gain, to avoid loss or gain, physical gain. In karma yoga, you perform an action for a spiritual gain. Meaning that when you perform an action, there are two dimensions of the outcome that the action produces. One is the physical dimension. Quantifiable dimension, what we call gain and loss. Other is the spiritual dimension. What do you think is the spiritual dimension of karma phala? That when you invest $1 million, outcome can be 25% rate of return or loss of 5%, whatever. When same endeavor can also be a spiritual outcome, what will that be? How will you measure that? When the very same endeavor is carried out with the right attitude, then it can also bring about an internal gain. So here Lord Krishna means that there are two kinds of gain. One is the physical, quantifiable, measurable gain. Other is the spiritual, subtle, inward gain. And that is in terms of the internal purity of the mind, in terms of your self-satisfaction, in terms of your happiness with yourself. So when you perform an action It can bring about, of course, the reward in terms of the material dimension. But who is a karma yogi? A karma yogi does not perform action for the physical or the material gain that the karma has to give. A karma yogi performs the action for the spiritual gain that the karma gives us, which is called Antahkarana Shuddhi, purification of mind. How will they do that? Like when you perform an action, the physical outcome will be there, regardless of, what your attitude is. But when you perform an action with the right attitude, then it will also give you the spiritual dimension. A wrong attitude results into a loss of spiritual dimension. Right attitude brings about the gain in spiritual dimension. That attitude doesn't change the effect of karma. Whether you are a saint or a sinner, if you do a business and do it in a certain way, you get your law. Those laws are different. See, laws that determine the karma and the karmaphala, they don't depend upon your attitudes. I mean, you are a scientist, you perform something, you are a businessman, you do this, and the outcome comes in keeping with what you do. But the attitude decides, what will be the inner dimension of the result. The right attitude, you can get what we call the happiness as a result of this. With the wrong attitude, the very same karma also can make you unhappy. Regardless of what the physical outcome is, it is attitude that decides whether we gain happiness from an action or unhappiness from an action. If happiness is your purpose, then hey Arjuna, may you adopt the right attitude. If you want to be happy, about unhappiness, then right attitude. You fight the battle, you win the battle, lose the battle. Doesn't require any attitude, requires your skill. Two kinds of skills are there in performing an action. In fighting battle, one skill is the weaponry, and the skill of fighting the battle. Other skill is what? The attitude towards the battle. Lord Krishna will say, Yoga karmasu kaushalam. The real skill in performing action is this right attitude. Because people think that the real skill in fighting a battle is how skillfully you use your weapons and how skillfully you overcome your enemy. But here Lord Krishna wants to say that the real skill is how this action becomes for you a means of releasing you from unhappiness, from sadness, takes you towards happiness and freedom. So, what is karma yoga? Is performing karma with an attitude where you are shooting for an internal gain of happiness or inner purity. So Lord Krishna says, Neha vikramana shosti pratyavayo na vidyate. If you are performing an action for the purpose of inner purity, then you are sure to gain that output. Lord Krishna says, if you have the right attitude, I can guarantee you that you will get happiness as a result of action. Guarantee. Nobody can guarantee you whether you will get success in terms of money or physical thing. But Lord Krishna says, we can guarantee you that if you perform any action, the right attitude, you will feel happy. Just a small act of kindness you do. A small act of kindness of just reaching out to somebody, helping somebody, contributing to somebody, is bound to make you happy. Even that doesn't require you to be a millionaire or multimillionaire. It doesn't require you to be anything. All you need is just to be a kind person, a contributor. Neha vikramana shosti. It cannot be that this action does not bring happiness to you. Pratyavayo na vidya. It cannot be that it brings unhappiness to you. Swalmopyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. So here Lord Krishna is talking about a different dimension of the karma phala. And that is the dimension in terms of the purification of mind, which is the direct means of happiness. So what makes us happy? It is the purity of mind that makes us happy. The extent with mind becomes sattvic or pure, to that extent we find happiness from within ourselves without any effort or without any reason. So happiness that we are talking about is the happiness without reason. That's the real happiness. Happiness can come. When you fight the battle, you gain the victory, that is happiness. But that's with the reason. What's the reason? Because you won the battle, therefore you are happy. That happiness is binding happiness, it's temporary happiness. It doesn't last too long. In fact, it binds you. But you're happy that you did the right thing. You're happy that you contributed something. You're happy that you had an opportunity to do something for somebody. That's happiness without any reason. Two kinds of happiness is there in life. Happiness because of a reason and happiness without a reason. The 18th chapter, Lord Krishna will explain. Happiness because of a reason is binding happiness. Happiness without a reason is freeing happiness. So when we say happiness, we mean happiness which is a freeing happiness, not binding happiness, called sattvic happiness. And therefore, when you have the right attitude in doing anything, that very attitude makes you happy. Why should attitude make you happy? Why should being a kind person make you happy? That's our experience, that one small act of kindness makes you happy. You go out of your way to help somebody and you are happy. Why? Why do you think is it so? Why being a contributor makes you happy? If you contributed something, why should it make you happy? That I could do something for you. Why should that make me happy? Say that loudly. More satisfied with yourself, right? That's your true nature, correct? Say that? You are in harmony. Very good, very nice. So it is true that kindness happens to be our nature. Kindness happens to be harmony prevailing in the universe. And therefore, whenever I am in harmony with myself, which is the same as harmony in the universe, thank God, that no separate attempt is to be made to be in harmony with the universe. When I am in harmony with myself, it is automatically harmony with the universe. Makes me happy. You know why? Because that is what I would have expected from somebody else. If I was in your position, I would have expected from you an act of kindness, because that is what everybody wants. We always want others to make us happy. We always want others to love us. We always make us others to accept. We don't want to be hurt. We don't want to be insulted. We don't want to be cheated. We always want to be respected, accepted, loved. And thereby an act of kindness on your part can come only when you respect me, otherwise you can't be kind to me. Understand? When can I be kind even to an ant? Real kindness, when I respect the ant. It's a living being. It also has a right to live. And I'm happy that it lives, that I can be an instrument in somehow saving the life of an ant. Because if I were the ant, that is what I would have expected from you. If I were the ant, then I would have loved to live. I would have expected somebody to save me. When I do that, I know that I'm doing something right, which is in keeping the harmony of my own self. So what is the attitude? Attitudes are nothing but just being in harmony with myself. All the values that we are taught, they are all nothing but the nature of self. So Lord Krishna will say in the 13th chapter, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshantihi, Arjavam. Or Ahimsa, non-violence, Satya, truthfulness, Astiyam, non-stealing. These are nothing but other names of self. The other day someone asked me a question. Swami, you say that we should be aware of ourselves. How can I be conscious of myself when I am functioning my day-to-day life? So much is going on that my mind has to deal with so many things that I can't think of consciousness. I can't think of God also. So how can I remain conscious about God when doing things? I said, while doing things, if you make sure that you are honest, you are kind, you are compassionate, all of those are other names of God. Honesty and kindness and compassion means God. So when you are aware of them, and when you respect them, you are automatically respecting God. When you worship kindness, you are worshipping God. Don't worry. So you are. So here, Arjuna, when you have this right attitude called yoga, you can never lose. I can guarantee that you will be happy. The guarantee is not there will be physical gain. That guarantee is not given because that is not the purpose. Sukha dukkhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayav. If happiness comes from victory, then I can't guarantee that. Happiness comes from gain, well, I can't tell you anything. That's your luck. Happiness comes from gain, then if it's your comes from giving, then I can guarantee you. Lord Krishna says there is no loss here and there is no opposite result at all because right attitude will definitely bring about happiness. This is a very confident statement. Neha vikramana sosti pratyavayona vidyate. When of the right attitude, they will say a selfless attitude. Okay, that will be, it's called yoga of selfless action. What is selfless? When you are kind, you are selfless. When you are compassionate, you are selfless. When you are a giver, you are selfless. It may not be total selflessness, I may not totally kind, but then the extent to which I am kind, to that extent I am selfless. And therefore, when you do things, of course you take into account the physical situations and the physical outcome. But more important is that you have this right attitudes. Neha vikramana swasti pratyavayona vidyate. There is no loss of happiness or it will create unhappiness. It won't happen. That you are a kind person, you perform an act of kindness, so it made me miserable. So people sometimes complain, Swamiji, I tried to be very kind and then people take advantage of me. You said that you should contribute, then people exploit me. They take advantage of me. As a result, he feels unhappy. But a person who wants to give should not mind being exploited. Why do you mind being exploited? Let them exploit you. No, I don't. That means that you want to hold on to your ego anyway. Something you don't want to let go. I want to be kind at my condition, That as long as you don't take advantage of me, as long as you don't exploit me, as long as you respect me, as long as you gratify my ego, so automatically some outcome is in my mind, understand? True kindness means there is no selfishness. Or We have to slowly achieve that. That it's not overnight that I am kind and then I am selfless. We are not that kind, not totally kind, but we have to work on that. Try to make our kindness as unconditional as we can. Today we are kind all, but there is some condition. When I feel that I was kind, Swamiji exploited me, then there was a condition. That I am kind, so you should also pay back in a certain way. But Swamiji, there is no appreciation. We do all this and there is no appreciation at all. That's also a condition you are putting. So when I do something, some appreciation should be there. Then I can't guarantee you, Lord Krishna says. What he is asking is a very tough job, unconditionally giving. The extent to which you are conditioned, to that extent we are setting ourselves up for misery. And what makes us unhappy as a result of performing is the condition that we put while performing actions. No conditions, then the happiness is guaranteed. So what do you need to do for being happy? Every moment you are doing something, is it not so? That's all. Do that with kindness, with compassion, with respect for others, with understanding of others. When you keep others in mind, while doing things we always keep ourselves in mind. Doing things keep others in mind. Niya vikarmana sosti pratyavayo na vidyate. But Swamiji, I find it very difficult to be unconditionally kind. Don't worry. Lord Krishna, second line says, Swalpamopyasya dharmasya. Even to some extent you are kind. Conditionally also you are kind. That little thing also will definitely yield that much result. To whatever extent you are unconditionally kind, to that extent you are happy. So, and then what happens? You get the taste of it. That you were hesitant, what will happen? Will they exploit me? Will they this, that? So this kind of fear is always there, and suppose you take one step and try. And you find you are happy, you taste happiness. Then there is an incentive to take 2 steps. Incentive to take more steps. And thus you proceed in being a kind person, being a contributor, being a selfless person. Swarmopyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even if you adopt this dharma of yoga, even in a small measure, ultimately it will save you from all great calamities, from all unhappiness. So this is all Lord Krishna introduces the Karma Yoga in the 2nd chapter of Gita. We'll take a break here and continue in the next class. Hopefully your voice will be better at that time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vasishyate Shanti Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. See, normally we have satsang after the lunch, but today I will give myself a break and we will skip the satsang in the afternoon just to get a little voice rest. So we will miss the satsang this afternoon. I will see you next 19th, I think, Sunday. Today is 6th or 20th? 20th of May, right.
more value.
Hello, hello.
Little more.